Good morning and welcome to Unlocking Freedom in Nature and Art. We're so glad to see you. And like my friend Lori says, greetings. But hi, Lori, how are you doing today?
Greetings anywhere you are, everywhere you are in around the world, around the globe, especially if you're watching this recorded. We want to say hello and welcome. And we have an amazing guest today. Don't know Bambi very well, but the little I know of, she's amazing and she's going to enlighten us today with amazing information about dreams. Do you dream? When was the last time you remember you had a dream? All that is going to come up. And can you kind of like reactivate that blessing or that power to be able to dream? And Bambi is going to talk to us about that. Welcome, Bambi.
Oh, thank you
Welcome,
both
Andy.
so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today.
Well, it is our
We're
honor to
delighted.
have you here. So
Thank
thank you
you.
for.
Thank you.
So, Bambi, we want to know about you. We want to know your journey, where you grew up, your family life. We want to know a little bit about that. That's what
Okay.
we're here for, is to find out, hear about your journey.
Okay. Okay. Well, I grew up, I was born right here in Hollywood, California. So I have lived here my entire life. And I was born to two parents, both entertainers. My father was an actor, my mother was a dancer in New York.
Anyone we would know?
I don't know, probably not. My dad, his name was Robert Corso. He was in a few things like Doc Savage, I mean, he's a huge resume of things, but they were smaller parts. But that was his love, and my mother's love was dancing, and so she got to do that on Broadway, which was awesome. I am one
Awesome.
of three daughters. I'm the oldest. And we grew up in a house where we were a curious family about spirituality, about nature, about life. So, it was really neat way to grow up because we were exposed to a lot of ideas so that we could form our own.
How
Yeah. So
sweet. So I have been to Hollywood, but I know
that's
this is something that nobody knows about me, but I used to do scouting for World Championships of Performing Arts, which they would scout for like American Idol, Star Search and stuff. And I got involved with that kind of because for 13 years I did modeling in Portland and Seattle area.
oh, fun
So
fact,
so it
Tammy.
was fun, a different part of me, So well, I have met quite a few different producers and different actors and actresses, so it's
Oh,
fun. So,
that's awesome.
Did you
so
remember
and go.
connecting with any of them, Bambi, through your parents?
I got to meet Ron Ely, who was the kind of the first, he was the Tarzan and he was Superman. And so we got to be on set with him one day, and that was my highlight for sure. He was just big, beautiful, sweetest man in the world. So that one I remember.
And that's awesome. Well, and what people forget
Mhm.
is they're just people. It's
Exactly.
like I remember taking a friend, I'm like, you can't ask for their autograph because of what I'm doing right now. We just have to remember they're just people. And that's all they are. They're just like us, but that's their job.
Well,
So,
exactly. And I
and
worked
they're
for
just
Kenny.
having fun, right?
They are just having fun. They're living the dream. And I worked for Kenny Rogers, and it was the same kind of thing. You're exposed to a lot of people like that. And I think that, the most beautiful thing is to just do exactly what you said, Tammy. You recognize that they're still just people, and, they have thoughts and feelings and dreams of their own. And so it's neat.
They do. What's
Mhm.
funny though is how some people just like are so awestruck and like
Yeah.
it's different because I seen it with artists like you said that are secular more, and I've seen it even with Christian
Yeah.
artists where people just want to bow down, kiss their feet, and they don't want that. They just want to be recognized as a person. So,
Right. Normal
And
but
person.
enough my story. But
they might be passionate about what they do, their craft, but then they're also introverts. Many
humble.
of them,
Yeah.
surprisingly, many of them are introverts, and they're entitled to their privacy, their personal space, and I'm sure that's an interesting balance for them to keep. But Bambi, I want to ask you. I love what you said about your upbringing, and I want to know what if you have a first memory of you honoring and showing this reverence and awe towards nature, like
Oh.
was it an outing or a hike, and where you kind of is your first memory of your being out in nature and doing something for you?
Oh gosh, I have so many memories. One of the most impactful memories that I have was it was I was living with my family. Obviously, we were little, and we lived. There was a little bit of a hill on the side by the house, and there was a huge rainstorm. And the rain was coming down the hill. It was filling up kind of on the pathways below. And my sisters and my mother and I were outside saving thousands of earthworms who had washed down the hill. And it was kind of like that starfish story, right? Well, it mattered to that one. And we were saving earthworms. And I always remember that because, most people don't even think about an earthworm. And again, because of the way that we were brought up and just I have really a very deep connection to indigenous ways of being and their reverence for nature. And so it's like everybody and everything plays its part. And the earthworms are so important for the soil. And so, yeah, that was my
They
favorite.
are. People don't realize that if floods, the earthworms will drown. So I totally
What did you do with them? Like you were taking handfuls? I mean, was there a huge amount? And then how did you save them so the audience can know what to do next time?
And next time there's a big rainstorm. So we collected them and put them in something and then just gently just place them right back up on the hill where the water wasn't flowing down. If there was grass, something where they wouldn't just keep falling back down the hill.
basically injured again. But it's yeah, because the pavement, the way the hills, it's pavement.
Right.
So the pavement, they were just going down, and for that, there was no way they could go under the pavement or anything. So you would have to put them onto the side, or else they'd just drown.
Yes.
So, so now you graduated there in Hollywood?
No, I graduated high school out in Thousand Oaks.
Okay.
Yep. Did a little bit of college work at Moore Park. Did not get my degree there, but went there for a while, and mostly spent my entire career from the day I was allowed to work working. So I spent most of my years actually in corporate America, and just a lot of executive functions. But my passion is always the nature and animals and dream work on the side. So after work and before work every day and every minute in between, I would always be reading and studying and taking classes. And that's how I spent my vacations.
So, quick question here. So, when you were in high school or as a youngster, were you having these dreams or knew that there was something there?
I did. My most memorable dream happened when I was 15 years old, I believe. I had taken a nap in the middle of the day and I had had such an intense dream. And I woke up thinking, my gosh, there is so much more to dreaming than we are aware of. Like I was really, like it really shook me. And I started this journey of trying to understand what dreams meant. And at the time, there was so many dream dictionaries, but there was hardly any books on dreams. There wasn't, like now you can find so many amazing books on dreams. But what I found is that they would give you the symbolism and what it meant universally or collectively. And what I have grown to understand so deeply is that our dreams are very personal and that we are having dreams of images that mean something to us. And that is how we are being informed by them. So our associations to the images and our interaction with these images and even in our waking life inform the dreaming imagery life as well.
So, when I was, gosh, I think one of my youngest dreams I remember, I used to have deja vu quite a bit, and I still do. But what I learned from it was that you could change the course by prayer, because you knew kind of what to expect. Because sometimes you'd have it a couple times, that deja vu moments, those dreams ahead of time. And in those dreams, I learned to pray, or change the course. And then the bad stuff wouldn't happen. Because when I remember my first deja vus, always something bad, usually. It was almost like preparing me that this was going to happen or that.
Right. Oh, that's so interesting.
So the first one I remember, I was at my grandparents' house and the haystack, these guys showed up in the field in a car or truck, I can't remember. and they set my grandparents' haystack on fire.
Mm.
That was the deja vu. And like 24 hours later, it happened.
Wow.
And it was like, oh my gosh, and so it would give me the chills, because it was like, oh my
Yes.
gosh. And that was just one of, it was like and so it was like, okay, how can I change this? Because how can I prevent stuff? And this
Right.
was a little kid asking this, because otherwise, you were afraid to tell because you're like, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm crazy if I'm telling
Hmm.
people.
Hmm. Yes.
So Bambi, is that a gift or is that a gift Tammy could continue refining or tuning into or?
Well, I think that everybody has had the experience of deja vu. I think that some people tune in more, maybe they pay more attention, and that's why. But absolutely, that is something that can be continue to be grown, right? I think when it comes to deja vu, and it's hard to know, right? Is that an intuitive hit that we're getting, or is it from a dream? I mean, and we're not always sure, right? Sometimes I've had dreams where something did happen that matched the dream, but other times you're like, I'm not sure where I knew that from.
Right.
And right. So, but I feel like in the dream time, we have this access to, we pick up on things energetically so much more than we know in life, right? And so I feel like, that like the haystack, there was something in an energy field that you're picking up on. So whether it came in a dream or if it came as an intuitive hit, you were paying attention to that. And I think we can always build on that by tuning into ourselves more to really see what we're feeling around us.
So when somebody's like, I remember, and Lori, you can interrupt too, so but it's like before we moved up to where we live now, every night I'd have like the same dream
Mm-hmm.
for like 3 years.
Yeah.
It
Recurring
was like
dreams.
saying I needed to, it was basically saying I need to leave where we were at and move someplace else.
Yeah.
You probably come across that. Is that normal or how long? Tell us
Yes.
more.
Yes. And it is normal. And I love that question, Tammy, because so many people do come to me because of recurring dreams. And what I generally will tell people is look at when the dream started. Something sparked the dream to start, and yours went on for 3 years. I knew people back in the day. I knew somebody who he had the same recurring dream for 9 years and hadn't recognized that if he went back in time that there had been an event that set this off. And when he was able to deal with the event or take an action like you did, the recurring dreams stopped. So it's interesting because recurring dreams are they're kind of like, something tugging at the shirt sleeve saying, hey, I'm trying to get your attention. You're not listening. I'm going to show you again. You're not listening. I'm going to show you again. And you're still not listening and show you again. So when we start paying attention to recurring dreams, again, I just say, hey, what was going on right about the time that you started having these dreams? And I can always pinpoint it to somebody with someone. When I'm working with somebody, they can pinpoint it to an event. And then if you take an action on it, and even just consciously being aware of the fact that you know what this is kind of about, can help end that series of recurring dreams.
Yeah, I always tell my clients with coaching or clinical hypnosis, they know better, and this might not be completely or entirely direct with the recurring dreams.
Yeah.
But what I think with what you're saying is that the subconscious mind knows what it is that's bugging, what's nagging, what you need to act upon. And maybe when we go to sleep and rest in that trance state, because that's what dreaming is or sleeping is, your subconscious is just telling you and giving you that notice. And I love that you asked them, hey, what was happening around that time that they started, the same dream started, because that was probably your subconscious mind telling you you needed to act on something, you needed to resolve something, release something. And to me, this is why one of my philosophies in clinical hypnosis and coaching is your answers lie within.
Yeah.
You know more. I will only be a tool or an instrument to ask you all these questions, to do all, to understand and to listen to see if you can figure it out yourself. So I love that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and one of the things that I can't remember who was talking about it, must have been a pastor, but people don't even realize it was even actually written in scripture in the Bible about ask God to come to in your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the prophets and the different people use dreams
Yes.
a lot of times to help them to know where to go next or what to do.
Well, and it's true. And, it's fascinating because every human being on the planet dreams. And we don't pay a lot of attention to dreams. I mean, there are people who think that I'm like, they have no idea what I do or why I do this. But for the people who are paying attention to dreams and they see how it can transform them or connect them to spirit better, it makes a huge difference. And you realize you don't live the same life paying attention to your dreams as you would if you did not. It's very, very different. So, I mean,
So
we have a guidance system all the time, right? I think that's your point, that there's always something accessible for us to get answers and guidance and answers to prayers.
I guess now we'll flip back. How'd you get to where you're doing this? You know, tell us a little bit more. Now let's go back to your story.
Okay, which part of the story? How I got into doing this?
Yeah. So at 15, you had the dream
Right.
or whatever. So where'd you go from there?
Okay. So I was doing self-study for many, many years, and it took me quite a while to find a dream group that I eventually joined. And everything just kind of evolved. I ultimately found it was just an amazing experience. My certifications are from Dream Tending, which is from Stephen Eisenstadt. He was the president of Pacifica Graduate Institute up in Santa Barbara. And that training was the beginning of me doing this in my life as I do it now. So that was huge. That was in the late 90s. I got those courses taken. But I mean, I still will take dream classes just to always be learning more and to stay engaged in the field because it's just such a delicious part of life to get into because you're working so much with imagination all the time. And so, yeah, it brought me to where I am now. I became a certified life coach in 2009, and I integrate my life coaching with Dreamwork now so that my clients I invite them to bring their dreams to the coaching sessions. And what it does is just amplifies the life coaching so much. So it's been really, really cool. And I love being on this path of Dreamwork.
But you did other stuff in between.
Oh, I
So,
did all kinds of corporate work in between.
so
Yes.
what was that? So
I,
when you were doing that, how did you know that you needed to do this full time? So, you know, what kind of
oh,
corporate work so our audience knows a little bit more?
sure. So, yeah, so I worked for Kenny Rogers for 6.5 years. Then I went into hair care manufacturing for 35 years. And then after that, I was in finance for 8 years. And I knew the whole time, Tammy, that I wanted to be doing dream work. And, you do what you need to do to survive. And so that's why I would do things at night and on the weekends, was to be able to feed that part of me that really needed that in my life. And that's where I have always felt so much more connected. So I am now at a point where I do not have to work in corporate anymore, and I'm able to do this.
So what did you do
Yeah.
for Kenny Rogers?
Oh my gosh, I think I held 5 different positions. I worked in licensing and merchandising. I worked on tour accounting. I worked in the fan club. I actually even worked at his house. I was his wife's personal assistant. Um, there was something else in there, but yeah, I did a whole bunch of things. And then ultimately, they ended up moving back to Georgia, and they invited me to move with them to take care of her, but I just didn't want to be that far away from my family, so I stayed.
And then you switched to hair care, you said?
Yeah, yeah, because his business closed here in California. He had also a production, uh, Lions Lions Share Studios. So he had studios, but everything kind of closed down. And then ultimately, I ended up in hair care.
And which brand or line was the hair care?
I worked at first it was for Sebastian, then I moved to Lanza, then I co-founded the North American version of GHD Professional, which is a UK-based hair care flat irons. co-founded that here in the States for North America. And then the last one was Sultra.
That's so awesome.
That's a lot
You
of
see,
years.
we love this story because we have people in our audience with all kinds of backgrounds and
Yeah.
with many, many stories saying that whatever I was doing, I was not very happy at because I always knew I was meant to XYZ, right? And this is what we're about
Mhm.
here, about helping our audience understand that there's a time when this is okay to survive, but in order to thrive, they need to heed to that call. They need to heed to that passion. And I want to ask you, you have a book, is that right?
I do.
And
I
you want to
do.
continue telling us that story, what inspired you to write the book? What is the book about? And very
Okay.
tender stories there that I know I've seen pictures and posts in social media that are very sweet,
Mhm.
Bambi.
Yes, thank you. Well, I always knew I wanted to write a book since I was 5, but I had no idea what I was going to write it about. And then in 2002, actually, I woke up with the name of my book and the whole idea for my book at that point. And it took me 18 years to get to the point of actually really writing the book. So I kept notes and I did a bunch of things. What ultimately got me to write the book, to be very, very honest and personal, is I had a breast cancer diagnosis in 2015. And that, of course, rocked my world. And when I got through that, I just thought, this is something I always wanted to do, and I do not want to leave this planet with this song inside of me unsung. So I got really busy to writing the book, and it's called dream tracking, and the whole idea is tracking your dreams to transform your life. But I have a lot of more spiritual, not spiritual, but like coaching information and transformational information and beliefs, and I deal with emotions a lot in there, but tying it into the dreams because ultimately I do believe that they're here for our healing and our wholeness and our connections. So they are here to help us even when they're nightmares. But it's also very nature based, just in the sense that, you can definitely get a sense that I love nature and that I'm passionate about animals. And I think that comes through the book a lot. But yeah. So then I published this in 2021. And that was a lifelong dream. I really, really, yeah. I'm
It
sorry, I keep
sounds
looking down at the
amazing.
book.
I was going to say, it sounds amazing. I'll have to read it. So not saying I don't have a stack of books to read. I'm
Right.
trying to read two at a time, but it's
It's
crazy.
rough.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Keep up with
Yeah.
everybody, but it's good to learn from others. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, Lori, to your point about the listeners and about finding a way to thrive, even though I was living, this corporate life, I mean, it was such a priority for me that I did spend my nights and my weekends doing that instead of going out and doing other things that I could have been doing. I was like, I wanted to create this life. And I did what that took to get me to this place
I think what's
while still doing
amazing
that.
though, Bambi, is the fact that you did do those jobs, which when we do those other jobs, and I always tell kids, if you're not sure what you want to do, then
Mhm.
go and try volunteer or go and work part-time at different jobs. Don't work full-time, work part-time so you could work two different jobs and see which
Mhm.
one you like,
Yeah,
you know? Because you learn
absolutely.
from each job. Because people will go, oh,
Yeah.
well, how did you do so many things? It's like, well, I volunteered, I worked a lot of part-time stuff, but I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to see what it was
Mhm.
like because it gives you empathy too, because then you know what it's like to be that person, like that waitress or the actor or actress or, or like you said, working for somebody like Kenny Rogers. You know what it's like. You know how to deal with those kind of people. You learn so much with experiences that
Yeah,
people don't realize.
yeah, absolutely,
It's a
absolutely.
school. It's like going to school, but you're getting paid for it,
Right.
because you are learning. And I think a lot of times people think, oh, you have to go to college to learn something. But no, it's the experiences where we actually learn the most.
Absolutely. University of life.
Yeah, the hard knocks. So, Bambi, what would you say is the biggest, most meaningful takeaway when someone reads your book? Why were you so
Mm,
excited to write it? Because you wanted this message out. And what would you say is that biggest
beautiful
takeaway?
question.
Oh, thank you.
Biggest takeaway is that we have been gifted with an incredible tool. We're born with it, and it is and can become your inner compass. And when you start really learning to pay attention to your dreams, start writing them down, and start seeing the threads and the patterns within them, it can literally change your life for the better. And it's also an amazing creative tool. I have created my own mini artworks from based on dreams or poetry and things like that. They feed the soul. So I believe that dream work is soul work. And I believe that that kind of transformation is available for absolutely everybody who's interested.
Do you want
Well, and
to?
I agree with the art part.
Yeah. Do you want to
Mhm.
share now your piece of art or what you
Yeah,
created? I can show here in the
yeah.
screen. I love it. Oh,
I don't know why it's not, should be working.
okay.
It's
I'll
Well, I'll
not
try.
tell you a
sharing.
little bit while it's while
I'll
it's
try
popping
again.
up.
Hmm. Go ahead. You can start.
I was gonna say I visualize if I don't see it in a vision or a dream or can't visualize something, then I know I'm not meant to do it. For art
Hmm.
pieces for clients, I always visualize it first. So
Right.
Are you able to
Which
see
I
it now?
love.
yes, now we can see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. So this piece of artwork was inspired by a dream that I had about angels and condors, and I call it sky
Wow.
code. There were letters falling out of the sky, and the dream itself was really intense and amazing. But I use artwork as what I call, and it's the fourth principle in my book. There's four total, to honor the dream. And when I say that, I mean that we take an action on behalf of a dream. So if it's creating a piece of artwork, if it is taking a walk in nature, if it is making a decision we've been putting off, if it's moving to a different county or state, honoring the dream means, okay, I hear you. I know that there's information here for me, or I know internally something I should be doing. This makes me take some action on that. So this keeps me connected. It keeps me connected to feathers, which have shown up in my dreams since the late 90s, which first started appearing in my dreams. I was seeing hawks and owls and finding owl feathers and hawk feathers in dreams until one day I was taking a walk and at a corner found one of each and immediately recognized that there was something else between here and here that is helping watch over me, that was on my behalf, um, just watching over me. So now feathers have become a really, really big piece of my life. When I find feathers, I always, you know,
Well, if you come and walk in my yard, you're gonna find lots of feathers.
oh, I
What is
Whether
the
love
it's
that.
meaning
turkey,
of
hawk.
feather? Heather Angels, I'm so happy she's watching with us. She's saying what medium? And it's just I don't know if it's an exclamation or
Oh, is
yes.
this is the bottom part is just collage. It's ripped up papers with some rhinestones, and
Okay.
then the feathers I made with very hard paper. I glued newspaper print on top of them, and then I cut them into feathers. Um,
Amazing. I didn't know if this was digital. Either way, it's beautiful. And to know that
oh
this is
yeah,
actually 3D, I mean, is
yeah.
fantastic.
I keep it
Um,
upstairs.
yeah. So what is is there any specific meaning to feathers?
Well, I think again it's personal, but for me, feathers just they keep me connected to the invisible world. And I have a very strong connection with hawks and owls specifically, just in general. I have an owl box here. I have an owl box group on Nextdoor that's got, I think, 575 people, where I'm just trying to show people the importance of taking care of our wildlife. And we actually have, there's me. I'm also partially involved in a nonprofit where we are teaching about not using rodenticides. And that connects to keeping owls and hawks alive as well. So it's multi-layered, but for me,
What's funny is I had just pulled up a picture of an owl yesterday because a friend of ours used to
oh,
catch them and we've had them in our yard and stuff. But what's interesting is I was doing a home show for my art and I was thinking about doing an owl piece and a Native American told me, no, don't do one because owls in their culture represent death. And
right.
I was like, oh, I had no idea because I just thought they were a beautiful bird, you know?
Right.
But it's interesting how different cultures have different meanings, kind of like
Yes,
on the dreams for different things.
absolutely. Absolutely. And you honor that, with whoever you're working with. And I think bringing up the idea that, culturally people are going to have things that mean something different to them as well as you're doing
Right,
dream
because
work.
I would have
Yeah.
had no idea because I'll have to share that picture. It's on my
Yeah.
phone later on, sharing the owl because he's pretty cool because it's like I'm like within a few feet of this
Oh,
owl, you know, because it had injured a wing and stuff, and so it's a pretty cool picture. So I'll just
wow.
share that later. I
Okay.
have a question though because I know a lot of people have like that come back from wars and different things, or even
Mhm.
cops, firemen. I mean, all of us
Mhm.
a lot of times go through what is it, post PSTD.
Mhm.
And I wonder, and they have dreams over and over, like they're recurring the bad dreams.
Right.
They can't get an image. How do you work with those kind of people? People that are going through that?
I do not work with people with PTSD only because I find that it's better to have a professional clinician of some sort working with people like that. Um, when I've had some work with that, generally what you do, well, what I would do is you start working on the image in a different way. But that is such a deeply ingrained life experience. And I think that that one definitely needs tender hands. And so I leave that more for the professional people. But that being said, Tammy, I still work with people's nightmares all the times. And so there is some correlation between the two. And how do you do that? How do you work with a nightmare?
Yeah. How do
Um,
you?
and one of the
Give us an idea because
right.
I'm sure somebody will watch this and will be asking that question.
Yeah.
And so that's why I brought this question up.
Yes. Well, and the funny thing is, most people, they don't remember their dreams, but they almost always remember the nightmares. And the reason is because they are so emotionally rich, not always in a good way, right? So the first thing is I always invite people to pay very close attention to what exactly is the emotion and the emotions in the dream, because like there's likely going to be a handful of them. And then take a look at the last 2 days, for example. Was there anything that happened in the last 2 days where any of these similar emotions came up, not even consciously? Sometimes something people can get triggered by something and not even really recognize it and just kind of, put it away, but it's still bubbling up inside the dream. So taking a look at the last couple of days just to see, is there any place where these type of emotions were playing out or have been playing out in my life? And I really do believe that writing down all dreams, not, I mean, most dreams, but especially nightmares, can also helps it move through the body and gets it out of the dream state. And it gives the nightmare a voice, so to speak, because nightmares are similar to recurring dreams. They're just so exaggerated because, again, something is not getting paid attention to that really, really wants your attention. And so writing it down gives it attention. And people are usually really surprised to see what kinds of things pop up in their own psyche as they're writing down the nightmares. They're just less likely to want to write them down because they don't want to relive the bad feelings in the nightmares. But it can actually be very healing.
Well, and I've heard that can be very healing for even those with PSTD. So,
Mhm.
is to write it down because it helps you to get it out there. It's
Right.
kind of like when you go through a bad experience or have a fight or something. It's like talking it out or even
Mhm.
talking to somebody that you trust just to let out your emotions, it seems
Right.
to always benefit.
Absolutely. And I think that giving our emotional body attention is important. And I don't know that we do that enough, but our dreams invite us to do that more.
Well, it's basically mental health, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of times people are so afraid to say what they're thinking, feeling,
Yes.
dreaming. They don't let it out, or they're afraid that if they talk about it to somebody, that it's going to spread. So you have to have a safe person or talk to a therapist. But it's amazing, and it's like you're doing a lot of things. So, is there a story that we haven't heard that you'd love to share with our audience?
Oh my God. About life in general
Yeah, anything
Or dreams.
or
or
dream,
dreams?
either.
Um, um, sure. Actually, I do have kind of another fun story. So, I often have dreams of trying to take pictures of animals through windows. It's like, and something doesn't work. The camera doesn't work. Something doesn't work. But and so this one kind of was in line with that. I worked this dream in a group, and I had, and I'm not going to tell you the whole dream. It's way too long. But in the dream, there were these really amazing, interesting, never seen before on Earth kind of birds in the tree. And after working the dream, we were invited to do something creative on behalf of the dream. So originally, it started off with an idea for like a small short story. And I'll just show you this because we're talking about artwork. I ended up, let's see, there we go. I ended
Oh,
up
cool.
creating, let me go there again. The story and the dream into a little book using Shutterfly. I have 5 copies of this, but the idea was like, again, honoring the dream and really just finding some way to have a creative expression of these incredible images that I was seeing in dreams. So I will often do things like this on behalf of dream and art.
I think it's so important that I think the message is what I'm hearing is tune into your dream. It's a message from
Yes.
within, from conscious, subconscious, from divine, from spirit
Mhm.
and God, and act on it. Do
Yes.
something with it, create something with it, if nothing else, right? Maybe those
Yes.
nightmares, just take a crayon and paint a piece of paper black or whatever
Yes.
it is. And
Exactly.
I like what Tammy said, alluding to what it says in scripture, in the Bible.
Mhm.
There's so many stories, right?
Mhm.
Joseph interpreting dreams. I mean,
Yes.
there's so many, and our Gabriel appearing to Mary while she was asleep and resting and peaceful, right? Opening her mind and heart to the great news she was gonna get. Also, I watched your training you shared with
Mhm.
the group of women we have. And I love when you said, and I remembered this because I took a dream class too, that all these geniuses and people where they can't,
Yes.
Einstein or whomever else, do you want to tell us a little bit about that? How people,
Oh,
musicians and
yes.
composers and things like that, just take a little nap or something with that question in mind. And it's
Yes.
just fascinating to me that we, like you said, we need to realize this is a resource. You're like, I can't believe the people that live without acknowledging this resource that we have at hand, and versus the people that take advantage of it. So if you want to talk a little bit about.
Oh, yeah. There are so many amazing stories of people who have used dreams to create something here in the waking world or that answered questions. So, for example, like the final piece for the DNA molecule came to somebody in a dream, and it was the one thing that made everything make sense where there was a snake getting its own tail. Um, the Beatles, Paul McCartney woke up with a song in his head and wrote down the song, played it immediately, and it was the song Yesterday, which is like one of the world's most popular songs. There's multiple musicians, lots of music, lots of artwork. Um, and then I love this one. Elias Howe was trying to invent a sewing machine. And it was the first one. He could not figure out the needle part, how to work with the material and the needle. And he ends up having this dream about he's in the center and he's surrounded by these savages, as he called them, with spears, and they were all closing in on him. But what he noticed as he's paying attention to the spears was that there was a little hole at the end of the spear, and he woke up and realized, oh my gosh, this is how I do the threading through the thing. Was, so there's a part of the conscious mind that is trying to always figure things out, because that's one of our human traits, right? Is we're always trying to understand and recognize. And as he was trying to figure that out, something else helped him to come up with this answer. And there are so many different examples of this, whether it's, products for hair, whether it's books, films, music, mathematicians, chemistry, again, the DNA. So it is unending how many creative things have been created from just paying attention to dreams.
And these are
Wow.
answers, right? Answers to questions and answers to deep problem.
Yes.
And then when you go into the dream state, you are solution driven, because if you need to open your mind and heart and have that intention as well, correct?
Absolutely. And I think it's important also to understand that people dream in symbols, and I think that that's perhaps why it's more challenging for people to understand a message. I mean, sometimes it's very, very obvious and but other times you have to start learning your own symbolism in order to decode your dreams. So that's a piece of that for sure. But to your point, Lori, you can go to sleep and incubate a dream just by you hold a single question when you go to sleep. There might be somebody listening who is really trying to figure something out and they really want an answer. And I would encourage them to pick one question and keep repeating it as you're falling asleep tonight, and write down whatever you remember, and just start keeping track of what shows up, because we are in we're in a realm where we can ask and we can tap into information in the dream time.
So, well, interesting. So I once was watching, I can't remember what it was, like Dr. Oz or what, a long, long time ago. And they had a dream tracking person on there, right? And the biggest question that the audience kept asking, what I'm always falling in my dream.
Hmm.
Does that mean something to those? I thought I'd throw it out there since we have people on here, right? That might ask that. What if I'm
Yeah, that's the
falling?
classic one.
The
Yeah.
classic. What does it mean?
Yeah, falling is in the top 10 of the most common dream themes for sure. Um, Again, this will be a generic answer because it depends on the person
Right.
to some extent. But a lot of times, a falling dream is feeling out of control, or it could be like if I were just to say, hey, I dream I'm falling backwards, that would tell me something about how I might be experiencing my life right now. Where is it there that I might be falling or failing or losing my balance or my footing? So, so I look at it that way. I think, we all go through that over little things. It could be a tiny thing, you know. I'm failing at this. I couldn't have the conversation with my partner today, and I'm feeling, so I again I would love to encourage everybody to write down a couple notes before they go to
Mhm.
sleep at night about their day. We just call them day notes, because you could look back at the days prior to and see, is there a place where this is playing out in my life? Is there some place where something was going on and it reminded me of a time that I fell out of a tree, or that I do feel like I'm losing my balance, or I'm in a free fall and I have no idea where I'm going to land. Yeah.
That's amazing. I also remember our dear this character from our history, Harriet Tubman. Have you studied her?
Oh, yeah.
That after her head injury, she suffered seizures and all that, but also these visions, and that she believed they were revelations to save so many slaves.
So many slaves in the Underground Railroad. Yeah, her
Hmm.
story is amazing. And yes, because she had a major head injury, she started having dreams, And the dreams would help her navigate literally
Right.
the terrain to get all of these slaves to freedom. And I can't remember the exact number. Maybe you have it up online right now, Lori. Hundreds of people she
Yeah.
saved. And nobody, because I've got books on her upstairs because of this, nobody ever got killed when they were with her.
Right.
That this divine guidance that she was receiving literally, got these people to safety every single time. And she did this over and over and over in these underground railroads. It's an amazing story.
She was
It's
known
really
as the
beautiful.
Moses. And I remember in this movie, she will stop anytime, anywhere to just be in tune with this state of mind and then ask for answers. And people didn't trust her. And she's like, no, believe me, this is where we need to go.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. So I just think, I thank you so much. We thank you. I'm sure Tammy's
Oh,
super
thank
grateful for being
you.
here. And
Yes.
this is the beauty, and this is art, right? Soon we're gonna have, I think he's coming up next week, at someone that loves martial arts, and see, the name art is even in it, right? There's so many ways of art, and this dream
Yes.
interpretation, this dream incubation is definitely something so beautiful, sacred. And like you said, I love how you said it's a resource. It's a resource that we need to try to leverage and take advantage of and tune into. So I want to encourage everyone to learn more on how you can take advantage. We are so used to the instant gratification that everything is fed into our pupils and to our eyes and minds, that we don't take time to meditate, to create, to think, to ask for answers. And instead of Googling them, looking them up online, just try to find
Tune
those
in.
answers for us, personal answers for us. The other day, I was wondering how to send something to someone, and I was so tempted to ask AI how to pose the question or how to blah, blah, blah. And just, guilty as charged. Like, we are so dependent on all these ways and this amazing things we have in our pocket, right? If we think about it, it's our phones in our pocket or our computer. But what a beautiful thing, and what a reminder, because Harriet Tubman used to call them revelations from God. And to me, I think we are all each entitled to, blessed with the capacity to get also these personal revelations. We may not have been able to, Tammy, I got this revelation for you. No, I don't have that stewardship or power. Or maybe as a warning, if I saw something in a dream, right?
Right.
But even for us, for ourselves in our lives, and the people that are still working like you, right, Bambi, in that work that they know is for survival, but they're not listening to that little voice or those
Right.
recurring dreams that are sending a message to act on something, make a decision that is drastic and it's going to bless their life. And you have been instrumental in reminding us that today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking with you guys today. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. And we want to thank our audience for being here. Of course, check out our website, unlockingfreedominnature.com. We are we have, of course, some more amazing guests coming up. We're scheduling for our Betos and St. Lucia trips. So if you're interested in going on one of those retreats, let us know. Also, Bambi will answer your questions. If you have any questions, be sure to ask them in the comment section or ask Lori and I. So we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. So thank you for being here, and hope you all have an amazing week.
Bye-bye.
Bye
Thank
now.
you, Bambi.
Bye. Thank you.